It is the time for the quadratic formula. Um, this is the second most common, in my opinion, different way to solve for quadratics, factoring being the most common and the most important. Quadratic formula being, hey, I can't figure out how to factor this, so this is what I do. This is a formula you definitely have to have memorized at some point. So if you can hold it to yourself to memorize it, that would be awesome because you will use it over and over and over again. And I can't make you memorize it, which is kind of annoying, but I can flood your Google Stream, Classroom Stream, with raps of the quadratic formula, so, or remind with apps. So just keep that in mind. All right, we're going to solve this. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is add 6x and subtract 5 over. We can do that at the same time. We're capable. I'm going to write it over here, though. So you get 16x squared plus 16x, and because I don't want to make mistakes because I've been doing that, minus 32 equals 0. All right, here's my question. Why did I add 6x and why did I subtract 5? Why did I move the terms on the right to the left? Why didn't I move the terms from the left to the right? Well, if you said because I said so, well, yes, of course. But mainly because I want to keep that x squared positive. I just think life's a lot easier if you do that. And we can all use a little bit of positivity in our life right now with what's going on. So positive x squared. Okay. The next thing we have to do is solve this. And we know how to solve it by graphing. We know how to solve it by factoring. We know the method of square root, but you can't do that because there's an x right here. And complete the square. Well, solving by factoring, I just said, was the number one way to solve a quadratic, and that is the way we're going to do it. And the first thing you always ask yourself when doing factoring is there a greatest common factor? Well, 16 and 16 are the same, and 32 is divisible by 16. So we're going to take 16 out. So we're going to divide everything by 16. That leaves you with x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. 16 just drops down, like I like to call it. It's the third wheel in the situation here. Okay. Find the factors of 2. Well, the only factors are 2 are 1 and 2. Since this is negative, it means I have a negative and a positive. And since this term in front is positive, it means the larger factor is positive. So positive 2, negative 1, let's just check. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. Negative 1 plus 2 is positive 1. Voila. And then we're going to do the zero product property rule, where you set every factor equal to 0. Well, we should know that we don't actually have to do this because there's no x, so you can't solve for anything. X minus 1 equal to 0, you get 1. And x plus 2 equal to 0, and you get negative 2. So our answer is negative 2 and 1. And that is a state test question, and you all are very capable of doing it. All right, so let's move on to the big show, the big important thing, the quadratic formula. I feel like I just have to highlight it because it's so important. The quadratic formula. All right, now that I highlighted it, I'm happy. If you can't tell, I have some coffee running through my system. It's great. All right, so what in the world is the quadratic formula? All right, x equals, I always do that. I can't escape one video, no matter what class it is, without clicking this little thing on the side of the pen. All right, x equals, and then I do that. Oops, it's only Tuesday. X equals, now here's the big thing that we need to watch. And I can't seem to write horizontal lines very well in here. X equals. All right, this is one big divisor. Okay, I'm saying that because a lot of people like to separate this and they do it wrong. It is one big divisor. Everything I'm about to write is on the top and everything I write on the bottom is bottom, and it's all in this big fraction, okay? So you get negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Notice that b squared minus 4ac is what underneath the square root, and this whole thing is all over. I'm writing that so you know it. 2 times a. So that's the equation that I would make you memorize. You need to have that memorized, okay? So hold yourself accountable and do it, okay? Now, like what we did solving up here, we have to set it equal to 0. The only thing you don't have to worry about is the x squared doesn't have to be positive. However, I would really like for you to keep it positive just so you're doing the same thing with every problem and there's consistency with what you're doing. I think that leads to have less issues, okay? So step 1, it's written in standard form, meaning x squared goes first, x, and then the constant. And then step 2 is we got to figure out the a, b, and c. And we've been doing this. And I've been wanting to do this because I wanted to make sure we were set up for success here. A goes with x squared, b goes with x, c goes with a number. So the coefficient in front of here is 1. B has a negative 5 in front of the x, so the coefficient is negative 5, and the constant is negative 36. Okay, so we have A, we have B, and we have C. So all you have to do is then plug it in. And what I'd like for you to do, and you should know this is coming, is I want you to write the equation every time you use it. So it's one way to me to have you force you memorize it. Okay, first and foremost, we have negative B. Negative 5, the opposite of that is 5. Positive 5, plus or minus. All right, I'm only going to do the step once slow, and then I'm going to do it faster from here. We have negative 5 squared. Next time I'll just say 25. Minus 4 times A, which is 1. C, which is negative 36. That's only what's in the radical. And then 2 times A, so 2 times 1. Okay, so let's do some simplifying here. 5 stays. We have 25. Now, if you want to multiply these all you can, make sure you take this negative with it. So we have negative 4 times 1 times negative 36. So negative 4 times negative 36 is positive 144. And since it's positive, we're now adding because it's positive. Okay, all over just 2. If you take 144 plus 25, you get 169. You have a chart. Oh, someone posted on my Facebook account. Woo. Okay, so I probably should never do that again, but that's fine. That gives you 169. I have a chart that I gave you. I think it's posted on Google Classroom. And 169 is a perfect square. Perfect square. So if you take the square root of 169 in your calculator, you're going to hear me do it, even though I know the answer is 13. And that gives you 5 plus 13 over 2, or 5 plus or minus 13 over 2. So I don't have room over here, I'd write it. So we talked about how that plus and minus makes there to be 2 answers. So you have to remember this whole time you're trying to find what x equals, okay? And I do want to make a note of something. Do you notice right here that the only time I write the word x, or the letter x, is right here, 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 and here, because that's what we're trying to find. There's no x in my quadratic formula. So no x's. You know, like there's the thing like no x's live in Texas. Okay, no x's live in quad formula. This is real cheesy. I wish I could make that rhyme like it. No x's live in Texas. No x's live in the quadratic formula. Remember that. You can't escape my lame jokes even from the internet. Okay, so I'm going to do the positive one first because I want to do the positive one because I'm so sick of negativity in this world. 5 plus 13 is first, divided by 2. And 5 plus 13 is 18. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So that's your first answer. And then we're going to do negative because I don't want to do it first. 5 minus 13, I'm just checking my math, so you can use my calculator. And that's negative 8 over 2, which is negative 4. So we then write our final answer. I'm going to write it in this box. Remember, it has to go in braces. Why does it have to go in braces? It has to go in braces because if you put it in parentheses, it's a coordinate point, and these are not coordinate points. All right, I'm going to stop the first video here and pick up the next video on the second page, just so it's not overwhelming. All right, see you in the next video.